Top Med Talk.
Well, hello and welcome to Top Med Talk. We are here at the 2024 World Congress of Anaesthesiologists in Singapore. I'm Desiree, Chappell, your host and co-editor of Top Med Talk, and joining me today for the final conversation of the WCA here in Singapore is my former co-editor-in-chief, Monty Mythen. Hello, Monty.
Desiree, thank you for having me back.
I guess I did say yes when you were begging.
Well, you asked me back to this for this conversation for a very particular reason.
I did. Okay, so we have had the opportunity to sit down with Jens Meier from Austria, who is part of an organization called NATA, which we're going to get to that in just a moment. But Jens, for all of our listeners, why don't you tell us a little bit more about yourself?
Yes, hello, and thank you for having me here. My name is Jens Meier. I was born and trained in Germany, and now I'm an anesthesiologist and intensivist in Linz in Austria.
Mm-hmm.
Most of the listeners probably will not know Linz. It's in the middle between Salzburg and Vienna. Oh. So if you drive by car and you're in the middle, then you will be in Linz. It
sounds lovely.
It does.
Oh, it is a lovely city. In fact, it has been very industrial, but now it's very nice. We have a lot of cultural opportunities and nice surrounding. I like it.
What have you thought of the World Congress?
I have been here in person for the first time. The last time I was a speaker was in Prague, which was online meeting, and I'm really impressed, I have to see, of how diverse the world is, how many people are participating, and how different the problems are that these people have. When you have only the view on your small own world, you do not realize how diverse anesthesia can be throughout the world and how different patients are treated by different people throughout different countries.
Yeah, but then we're also similar too, which is cool.
Yeah, the physiology is the same. The challenges are very different.
Yes, they are. The challenges of taking care of patients. So one of the organizations that you are affiliated with is NATA, N-A-T-A. Can you tell us a little bit more about that?
Yes. NATA was founded around about 25 years ago as the network for the advancement in transfusion alternatives. I was not a member then, but as I've learned, one in our round was probably, and we will dig into that later. This was the time when it was believed that it is very important to spare blood products and to have a low number of transfusion as possible. Over the years, we became more and more aware of the fact that patient blood management is the way to go, meaning that you treat anemia, you treat bleeding and blood loss with the aim to improve outcome, and by that, as a side effect, to reduce transfusion. So the focus of the society is somewhat changed, but the measurements that are taken and the ideas that are behind that are pretty much the same since 25 years.
Okay. Well, what's the focus of the organization now?
The focus is to improve the outcome of patients by avoiding bleeding, blood loss, coagulopathy, and transfusion.
Interesting. Well, Monty, you have something to say about this.
I was privileged to be a founding board member. I was very interested, and still am, in the time, in alternatives to donor blood. So for all the reasons you've just cited, but it's now very nicely articulated. And at the time, there were a number of innovations that were available. There were the whole sort of area of synthetic colloids as an alternative plasma volume expander to human albumin solution, for example.
Yep.
But there was also quite a lot of products that were stroma-free hemoglobin. So something that was blood in a bottle or a bag, of which there are a number of products in play, and many of them actually worked. They had some pharmacological challenges, but a lot of that has gone back into the laboratory by this stage. It will be out again soon, because it can work, definitely.
Which is a pity that it went back, because when I was 25 years younger nearly, for my doctoral thesis, I did some investigations about these products. I was very much involved in DCLHB, the aspirin cross-linked hemoglobin. And I have to say that this compound was as effective as can be. I have never seen something that
They were amazing.
Yes, amazing.
I don't know if I've heard of it.
So you take human blood, or you can take bovine blood or other animals. You strip off the surface layer, which has the antigenic component of it, also gives it structure. And then you can chemically reconstruct it using different methods to have the hemoglobin molecule big enough to not cause problems in its own right, but small enough also to make it so that she can get places that are harder to get to, so get beyond stenosis, etc. And the physiology behind it, the biology behind it, the chemistry behind it was all absolutely fascinating. You had, at the time, you worked on diaspirin cross-linked hemoglobin.
Oh, gotcha.
That's the cross-link. Peroxidated hemoglobin polyoxyethylene. There was a bovine version of it, which was modified in a different way. So there were a number of products, and some of them got as far as being approved in certain countries, South Africa, for example, for human use. But they were also, as I remember, very potentially active, particularly from what they would do with scavenging nitric oxide to create benefits and potential harm.
Right.
Is that a reasonable summary?
I couldn't have said it better, I have to admit. No, it's a perfect summary. The main side effect was the scavenging of nitric oxide. And the problem in the end then is that you have this vasoconstrictory effect, which is pretty good for the systemic circulation, but unfortunately,
not so
this
great.
effect was even strong in the pulmonary circulation. And so you often had real problems with the right heart of these. We did this in experimental in animals. And so in the end, this never made it to the clinic really, which is a pity because I have seen pigs with a hemoglobin of 0.5 gram per deciliter survive, only with DCLHB. Unbelievably effective.
And humans were particularly people who, for religious reasons, would not accept blood or when blood was not available. There are a number of case series, but it's very hard to get through the regulators, not because they don't want to be helpful, but it's very difficult to design drugs to get novel approval. And anyway, so fascinating piece of history. But I think it'll be back because you basically had blood in a bottle.
Yeah.
And then at the same time, there were lots of reasons why people were getting HIV from blood transfusions. People were getting new variants, CJD, so mad cow disease, from blood transfusions. So blood transfusion has got safer and safer, but there's still a lack of blood transfusion.
There is a critical shortage.
So all of the great reasons you've cited are so important stuff.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Fantastic.
And with time, we switched the focus. We went away from blood transfusion and we more and more came to the fact that we see that the combination of anemia and bleeding is the real problem and should be treated aside from blood transfusion. So this is the story of NATA and patient blood management and this twist in thought.
And
it's, I'm guessing, still a really eclectic and interesting group of individuals who come at that problem from very different places.
Yes, it's multidisciplinary. It's not only anesthesiologists. It can essentially be anyone who's in the medical field, and it can also be nurses. So there are so many stakeholders and topics that can be discussed. I only can recommend everyone who is interested in that to come very soon in April to Bologna, where we have our next NATA Congress, to discuss about all these topics with the newest ideas from the specialists in this field.
Yeah, to have an annual congress still. Is that
still
one per annum that moves around the world?
That moves mainly around Europe, but we, of course, are for the whole world. But for several reasons, we mainly stay in Europe.
Do you hybridize it? Is there a virtual content or record anything that you can go back and get on demand?
During COVID, we did. We have some of the lessons now on video, tape. But we have to say that the main idea of NATA is that this is a meeting of friends that see every year, that discuss the same topics. And during the COVID time, we lost so much of this interaction that we do not want it. So we do not want to become a Congress that is only available on video. We want to be in person, to network, to be together and to discuss these topics face to face.
Yeah.
So remind us, the website is
NATAonline. Exactly. NATA Online. If you look for NATA Online, you will find it immediately.
NATA Online.
Exactly. You will find it immediately.
And the next meeting you said was in April, because it's probably the meeting after this podcast. There might be some people who get to the meeting in April this year.
Yes.
So there's going to probably be a bigger number that would say, when's the one after?
Maybe after that.
They've never thought
2025.
Yes, 2025 is the next one. It is always around April, May. We will talk about the real date at the Congress in Bologna, and I'm not allowed to spoil where we will go. But it will also be a very nice location as far as I can say now.
I haven't been for a good period of time for various different reasons and distractions in life, but they were always really excellent meetings, and it touches so many of us, the challenges of bleeding, blood loss, and what to do about it.
Absolutely.
And it's not the meeting for one specialty.
No.
Different people come there. There are surgeons, there are anesthesiologists, there are blood bankers, there are nurses, everyone.
Yeah. In the U.S., one of the quality metrics, Monty, we talk about the CMS MIPS metrics. So the government has created an incentive program for quality measures, and one of them is blood conservation, specifically looking at total joints, but it's moving in that direction. So it's really interesting. I know you were very interested in the artificial intelligence, the AI piece to some of the conversations that's been going on over the last 3 days. What is your interest in that? I mean, other than we're all interested.
I'm fascinated by the technical aspect, and what is really amazing for me is that the underlying methods are not that difficult to learn and not so difficult to understand. If you take a look at the magic that is sold on a daily basis on the television, on the media, and the hype that is generated, if you go back, if you take a look at the algorithms that are underlying, they are not so difficult to understand. They are quite basic. And then when you realize that all this magic is nothing else than mathematics, then I have to say this is very fascinating for me.
Yeah. And I think that Christophe Pedon said that on Tuesday during our Technological Visions and Anaesthesiology. I think the story is going to continue.
And it's going faster and faster. It's completely not foreseeable where we'll end with that story. No one will know how much we will support it in the future. In my opinion, and this is something I feel that is really important, we have to drive this development, because for developing these models, you need data and you need algorithms. Industry very often has algorithms, but we have the data of our patients. And if we sell away the data to anyone else, we cannot influence this process. So in my opinion, we should keep the data, we should learn the algorithms, and should be the drivers of the development of these algorithms to treat patients. If we give it away, then it's lost.
Yeah, interesting.
And or do it collaboratively.
Yes.
Yeah, some of us are working towards on that to be able to help drive and make sure what's coming out is what we actually need.
But I think what you're saying is don't sell the data and walk away.
Walk away from
Exactly.
it. Yeah.
This is what I wanted to frame.
Yes.
Of course, if you end up in a commercial product which you can use in the end, you need the industry and their partners.
Yeah.
The partnership is the key. The success.
Collaborative.
Exactly.
Then there's iteration in that as well, and relentless continuous development, and you end up in a better place.
Yeah.
And the lead where this should be used and how this should be used should be by doctors. This is my strong belief, and therefore I think we have to keep that in our hands, and we have to work together with partners. This is also no question, because no one can do this alone.
No.
Absolutely. Well, I think on that note, that is a good way to end our podcast, and a great way to end a phenomenal week here at the World Congress of Anaesthesiologists. Thank you so much for sitting down with us.
Thank you very much for inviting me. It was very interesting. Thank you for hearing from a founding board member of NATA, which is really a pleasure, and hope to come back someday soon.
Absolutely. Absolutely. All right. And thank you for listening to Top Med Talk. We've been at the World Congress the last 3 days. All of the content that we recorded here in the exhibit hall will be coming out to you probably over the next several days as well, especially if you're in a completely different time zone on the other side of the world. Be sure to keep an eye out for it. So you can find us on LinkedIn, Facebook, X. We're there. YouTube is a new venue for us. We've been on it for a while, but we're putting some more content out there. Check us out. Subscribe. Give us a little thumbs up if you like some of the content you're listening to, and be sure to share with friends. That is what it's all about. We've done a ton of networking here. I'm meeting some amazing people and sharing ideas. And so kind of, think of it the same way with Top Med Talk. Share the ideas.
Top Med Talk.
Thanks for downloading Top Med Talk. Don't forget to subscribe via your podcatcher. Don't forget to check us out on social media. We're on Twitter, Facebook, LinkedIn, and YouTube. And also, don't forget, Top Med Talk is the broadcasting arm of EBPOM, Evidence-Based Perioperative medicine. We'd love you to find out more about that. If you check out ebpom.org, you can find low prices on some of the conferences we're organising around the world. Many of them are virtual and don't even involve you leaving your own home. Check out ebpom.org now.